as an indie author with no marketing budget, which is half the problem, I could produce really great books, but then I didn't have I didn't have $10,000 to go hire marketers and ads and PR and set up interviews and to do the big giant book blasts and all the things that can really add up very quickly. And so I've done a little bit here and there just to test the market, because I'm a businessman, so I'm always worried about what's my ROI. If I'm my self-publisher, I've got to think like a publisher as well. I've got to get my money back. And so one of the things I did a couple of book signings at some local Barnes and Nobles, and I realized that I was spending a lot of energy just letting people know that that was an event there and they should show up. And I did pretty well. I sold out books in both cases, and so we did really well. Once I can get in front of people and talk about the book, I do great. But I happened to stumble on an author in my local area, and he said, "Well, I've got a few other authors. We're going to go we have a tent at this local fair, and why don't you come down and sell some books with us?" So at first I thought, local fair, how good can that be? Well, I went down there, and it opened my eyes. I sold hundreds of books the first year, and I got to engage my readers directly. I was giving my pitch hundreds of times during a day or 2 day period. I could see in their eyes when they go, "Ooh, that's cool," or, And I learned how to even pitch my own book. I built up my platform, and more importantly, I was making 3 times my margin that I would make on Amazon or any other channel. And so it was replenishing my cash flow really fast in order to think about, okay, what's my next book? But they only did a couple events in a rural county. And so I live right across the Puget Sound from Seattle. I used to live in Seattle. I was part of Microsoft. I know a bunch of people over there. And I said, well, I know that there's at least a half a dozen bigger events over there. And so I started the Author Event Network to get other published or accomplished authors together to collaborate. So we represent multiple genres and with multiple levels of time in the industry to basically collaborate to go rent those spaces at one is like the Kirkland Summerfest, and they'll have different tents. And one of the things I discovered, I came down here for the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books. And I loved the experience. It was thrilling to be among all the other authors and everything else. But I said, wow, there's 10,000 books here. If I'm a dedicated reader, I'm overwhelmed. Where do the books that I stop at? What are the booths that I stop at? Where am I really going to spend my dollars here? This is intense competition. What I found at these other events is the people next to us they sell cosmetics, and the one down from them they sell woodcraft, and the one down from them they have T-shirts, and the one down from them they're a food booth, and the one down from them they sell, clever clocks, and we were unique. We were basically a bookstore where authors themselves were engaging with you and signing their books. We were able to create a crowd, and every author was able to make a return on their investment for being there. And that was the reason, it was that experience that said, I need to do something where I can get other authors to come join me. One, it makes it more cost effective. We buy our own tents, we have our own tables, everything else. And then we're going to start on a journey of trying to go to as many local events as possible year after year. There were some big ones we missed this year because we got in too late. We'll hit them next year, because now we have enough people on board, and we know where to go. And so I realized that this is something that a number of other authors can benefit for. And there were people that were really like, well, yeah, I'm looking for a place to sell my book. I'd love to engage with my reader. Yeah, I'd like to build my platform. And I want to be there too. And we've actually had to build in a membership team so that we can make sure that we're keeping only quality authors in the group, so that if I'm a good author, I want to sit next to another good author, maybe of a different genre, and our books might look totally different, but I want them to be just as successful as I am. And while the industry will never care about it, they will never track the number of book sales I do there, I'm actually making more money doing that than I have been able to try and do advertising on Amazon or other places where you don't necessarily get a high return on that promotional dollar investment. And so what I was looking for is, of all the options that you have as an author, a lot of them are still great options. One of those options that has a high return on investment is just getting in front of readers. And the bigger the event, we went to an event called the U District Festival, U District a book fair. It wasn't a book fair, it was just the U District Fair. It was up near the university. There were 25,000 people there that weekend. That's a lot of people. And even if only a small percentage of them are authors, and even though a smaller percentage of them are thriller readers, not authors, but readers, but thriller readers, I can sell 100 books. And that's money in my pocket. That helps me break even as an author, think about my next book, start to think about how I can then start growing my online promotions and supporting these other things, because this is an investment that's returning high ROI. And so we've got about 20 authors in the group, and we just started in January. And we, as I said, this is our first year. We think by next year we'll be doing even better.